Can I ask that you send that? Can I ask that you send that to Cindy so that the board can get a copy of that and outline some things at the end that I didn't catch all of them?
Okay, I can send it to Dawn because I have her email.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Is that okay?
I'll forward it on.
I know you will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And could everybody please remember to state their names because I can't hear it over the clapping thing.
My name is Mary Kay Bransco, and I'm here on behalf of the Frank Love Elementary community. There are obviously some serious issues here tonight in the midst of all the significant regarding racism and bullying in our district. The items that the concerned Frank Love Elementary parents would like to address hardly seem significant. However, it is our job and responsibility as parents to ensure that our children have the best school experience starting as young as possible. So with that, I'd like to say that we actually sent in information to you and asked you to vote on finding a different solution for our kindergartners for next year. And I know that as a board you decided not to vote on that. As a parent, I find that really upsetting. But as part of the community, we're willing to work with you on that. So I'd like to go over some serious security issues that exist at our school. As of right now, we have 11 portables at our in our school, 10 are our classrooms, 1 is a portable bathroom that anyone can walk from the street directly to across the field and wait in there for any child who may come out to use the restroom. There is no surveillance to stop anyone or to monitor the children. There is no button or emergency button that you would find in a hospital for them to call for assistance if they have a medical emergency, a bathroom emergency, or if a stranger is waiting in the bathroom for them. There is no supervision provided except for when the recess staff is out, and even then it's just visual and they're continually watching 200 children at recess, so their focus is not directed on the bathroom. When you put 4 new portables in our school, you will decrease that line of sight and no one will be able to see the bathroom. So I would ask that you, as a board, would direct someone to this huge safety issue at our school. I would also like to address that our playground is not designed for 300 kindergarten students. It is designed for 500 students ranging in age from kindergarten through 6th grade. The section set aside for them is actually about 24 by 24, and there are 16 swings, and 8 of which are too large for the younger students to even get on. Our field is very large, but because of lack of maintenance by the district, lack of grass, and lack of concern when it comes to runoff rainwater, which we actually get quite a bit living in Seattle, you would imagine. The children are often not allowed to play on the playground, so we have 200 children at recess in a 24 by 24 area playing on 3 or 4 toys, and an undercover area the size of a basketball field, or court, excuse me. This is not acceptable, it's not safe. Right now we have kindergartners on the recess field with 6th graders, which is also not safe. The last concern we have is, of course, for our pickup and drop-off scenario at our school. We have lax sidewalks, we lack crosswalks. I was informed by your members that we need to address those with the city, which we have. But our pickup and drop-off system is incredibly scary. We have children crossing streets in the parking lot unsupervised. There is no employee standing there facilitating pickup or drop-off. I would ask that as a board you look into these and please provide for the protection of our children, especially since you're increasing it from 100 to 150 more. We will be at over 800 students in our school that's designed for 500.
I just had a question for you. Were you able to connect and I think support services reached out to you? Were you able to set an appointment?
We're having a meeting at the Frank Love Elementary Library. If you have any concerns about safety in your school or at our school, if you were taking your kindergartners, that would probably be Crystal Creek and Canyon Creek, Crystal Springs, and Shelton View. You're welcome to come. It's 4:30 Thursday in our library. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Lassiter?
I'll try to keep it brief. The kindergarten overflow has significantly impacted 3 existing elementary communities within North Shore. It feels that the previous growth has not come with appropriate financial, staffing, and infrastructure resources or foresight. We within the Frank Love community want to be clear that we're 100% supportive of our teachers, our recess teachers, our custodial staff, and all of our support staff. We welcome these new students to our communities with absolute open arms, but the impact on the emotional well-being of our staff, the extra wear and tear on our building, and the impact on our Frank Love students does seem to feel like an afterthought. When I volunteered in my daughter's 5th grade class, I helped edit pen pal letters that the students wrote. The students were asked by their teachers to describe their school and their school environment to their pen pals. Most of the students mentioned the influx of kindergartners and then the fact that they've had to spend 2 of the last 3 years in portable classrooms. A handful of these students also stated that they do not feel a connection to their school since they've been pushed out to the portable classrooms. Building a sense of community and feeling part of a community are a critical part of an elementary school experience, and this has been significantly impacted by the increase in our school population. In addition, we are no longer able to have all school assemblies in our gym without violating fire code. Our Frank Love students who participate in track and cross country have a huge sense of school spirit and pride. The existing portables have already greatly reduced the size of our field and have made it even more crowded for track and cross country meets. What impact will these additional portables have on the field and the ability of us to even be able to continue hosting track meets? This year, a standard track barely fits on the footprint of our playground. What about next year as our portable footprint increases? I know that this may not seem significant to the board, but our kids love hosting meets on their home turf, and it does contribute to their sense of community. A couple of other questions. With the addition of 150 kindergartners next year, we want to be sure that there will be changes to the before school plan, that we will be allocated additional staff to support this. Right now, we rely significantly on volunteer power, parent volunteers for the management of all the kindergartners, and we feel that it is irresponsible to not have additional staff allocated as well. We still only have 1 copy machine in our workroom. The teachers have asked for an additional copy machine for the last 2 years. Anonymous staff members have approached me and said that they have asked for a copy machine. They have been told by the district that there are logistical challenges, and they've been asking for 2 years. So we feel like it's irresponsible that these logistical challenges related to a copy machine aren't being addressed, and we don't feel that we as a community can wait 2 years for logistical issues to be prioritized and resolved. The motto of our PTA is Together We Can. Together, we as a parent community, we as a district, you as a board, can work together to ensure that all of our students have a sense of community, the appropriate allocation of staff and resources to make the best of their elementary experience.
Joy Campbell?
My name is Joy Campbell. I'm the mom of a 2nd grader and a full-day kindergartner at Frank Love Elementary. I want to emphasize that, first and foremost, that no matter the circumstances, the overwhelming consensus throughout the Frank Love community is that all students who become Frank Love Cheetahs are welcome at our school. We as a PTA and as parents work hard at including every student as one of our own, no matter what their home school might be. I come to you with the following concerns and ask you that you seriously consider our requests for the good of all the students, staff, and volunteers at Frank Love. And Kinder kids are some of the cutest kids ever, so we love them no matter what. With an additional 100 to 150 adorable students, I'm concerned that the staffing will not be adequately covered. This includes the learning center, the reading room, the specialists, the custodial staff, the kitchen staff, the recess staff, the front office staff, and the nurse room, all of whom will share the responsibility of 800 to 850 students. I spoke with one of the recess staff today who says that they're okay now, but with the extra kids next year, extra help will be enormously important. I've heard of kids who take the later lunch shift, that they don't get their choice of lunch because they've run out. I don't remember seeing much of Tammy before. I've been volunteering at this school for 3 years. I don't remember seeing much of Tammy, our main custodian, before. I see her all the time in the hallways, constantly cleaning up. More often than not, when I go to the front office, 2 to 3 to 4 times a week, those 3 women in those offices are working hard on one crisis or another. Again, the school copier it's one copier for 700 students. And the PTA just bought the school a new laminator. That one copier can't support a population of 800. We need a new copier, and the school in general needs more administrative support. Of particular concern of mine is the nurse's office. Just last week, Nurse Dunlop said that she saw over 50 kids in her office. Certainly one nurse cannot cover 800 to 850 students, half of which are going to be kindergartners who, as I know as a mom of kindergartner, they get hurt a lot. There's always more than one kid in her office, and she's buying supplies out of her pocket, despite the fact that the PTA also gives her a $200 grant every year. I understand that every educator throughout every school, throughout every district, are just buying their supplies, but it's unacceptable that this nurse's office, is not covered adequately by the district at a district level. That $200 isn't going to be enough from the PTA. And when we add more students whose parents are invested with their home schools PTAs, our Frank Love PTA is running short on resources. I ask you, as the governing body over our school, that you take our urgent requests seriously. We may not be able to fix the problems of overcrowding swiftly, and we're not going to make everybody happy. But you guys have the ability to make these changes more palatable to the entire community. Our school, children, educators, staff, volunteers, and parents have given so much over the last few years. Let's start these young elementary school kids off on the right foot now, because clearly they're going to have big enough challenges in the future. Together we can.
Any comments to Cindy? Because we're hearing so many things, I would like to read it in one of our.
Derek Smith?
Yeah, thank you. Is this on? Okay. Yeah, my name's Derek Smith, and it's interesting here. I didn't know any of this stuff was going on with Timberlake, but it's interesting to me because I'm sensing a pattern here, and I see it's part of the culture. And to me, it looks like North Shores has an epidemic on their hands. So here's my story. I have an 8th grader who's been bullied, harassed, and threatened, and North Shore School District has not taken it serious. She goes to Canyon, she's an 8th grader at Canyon Park Junior High. I have 3 girls in the system. I have a high schooler, I have a junior high, and I have one in elementary school. And we've had a very good experience in the school district until this year, where I've been incredibly disappointed. May 4th, my daughter finally had enough courage to come up to me and tell me that she was being harassed. There was a boy in her class that was fake punching her, pretending to have a gun and a knife on several occasions, saying he was going to shoot her, but he forgot it at home that day. He threatened multiple times to kill my daughter, to kill another family, to commit suicide after he had killed all these people. Then the situation escalated on Monday, May 4th, when the boy came to school and actually told my daughter, hey, I'm not going to forget my knife tomorrow. I'm going to come to school and I'm going to stab you. And he showed her how he was going to stab her. Okay? Very, very, very specific. My daughter finally got so worked up that she brought it to our attention Monday night. Thank goodness that she had the courage to do that. We brought it to the school's attention. The police were called. They came and took a statement from my daughter. They went to the boy's house that night, took a statement from him. Okay? Tuesday morning, I met with the vice principal. The principal didn't have the time for me. I don't know why. It seems pretty serious. But he didn't. I met with the vice principal. Okay? Tuesday, Bothell Police Department filed charges against this boy. This boy was suspended for a few days. I made it very clear that my expectations were that this boy be expelled from Canyon Park Junior High. Any reasonable parent would expect that. Any reasonable parent here. The boy was suspended for a few days, and then I get a call Thursday afternoon, come in and meet with us Friday, we're going to tell you what we're going to do. So I go in there Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and they tell me this boy's coming back to school Monday morning. What is a parent supposed to do with that? Do I want to send my kid to school where someone has been saying, I'm going to stab you like this? He actually told her, he says, I hope you have quick reflexes, because if you don't, you're going to get stabbed and die. Okay? My 3 daughters are what most would call model students. This particular girl has a 3.95 average. She's never been in trouble one single day since kindergarten. She's a good kid, and now she's frightened to come to school. So then what happens? So the boy's coming back to school, so I go in and I get a restraining order Monday morning. Okay? Obviously the city of Bothell took this serious. They filed charges. I had a Snohomish County judge offer and provide us with a 30-foot harassment restraining order against this boy. Went back to the school district, talked to the vice principal, talked to the principal, talked to the person in charge of school services, and they said it's not their problem, not the school district's problem. Flat out, not their problem. It's up to that boy to police himself to stay away from my daughter. I find that totally unacceptable. So I said every day but one, that boy has violated the 30-foot restraining order. Okay? The teachers weren't even notified that this problem was going on. My sister, my daughter, because she missed class Monday, because I wouldn't send her until we got the restraining order, she goes in Tuesday morning to get help. The boy's in the classroom. She has to leave. Okay? We call the police comes to Canyon Park. The school district basically rolls over and does nothing. They have no spine. This is a horrible, horrible policy. And what I'm hearing today with Timberlake, this is like Christmas for me. Because I didn't know any of this was going on with all this racism. But I see now, you have an epidemic. This is a problem. My daughter is the victim here, and she does not feel safe at Canyon Park Junior High. She tells me she has dreams of this boy coming up in the dark behind her and stabbing her. My daughter has an autoimmune disease that is triggered by stress. And if any of you have had a daughter that has an autoimmune disease, you'll know what I'm talking about. We do whatever we can to minimize the stress for my kid. Canyon Park Junior High is not minimizing the stress, they're making it worse. I'm concerned about the safety of our students, and I'm concerned that our leaders have lost their effectiveness and are unwilling to make choices and discipline kids effectively. The district talks a lot about no tolerance and no bullying policies. My personal experience with this is these are just words on paper. Worthless. Worthless. In my company, if I had an employee come to me and say he threatened to kill another employee, that employee would not be working for me any longer. But I was told that junior highs operate under a little different system than the real world. And that's by the administrators. I was told not to list names here. I want to list names, but I'm not going to. I'm going to hold back. I'm going to respect that. I asked the school board to review your policy on how lethal threats are handled, to hire administrators and leaders that reflect the desires of the parents of the district, and that actually take these sorts of things seriously. Quit penalizing the kids that are doing what they're supposed to be doing in school, and start holding the misguided kids accountable for their actions. Death threats should equal no tolerance. But apparently, in North Shore School District, death threats do not equal no tolerance. And you should be ashamed of that. The district has a problem and it needs to be fixed.
Club. So my name is Ken Smith, and for many people here, they might not know who I am, but for those of you on the dais know who I am, because I've been coming to meetings since 2013, talking about transparency, special finance transparency. And so some of the comments might be boring to those of you in the audience, but it's kind of endemic of the problem of saying, we have an issue, we need to address it, we need to be open, and we need to react in a timely fashion, which in the finances, unfortunately, the district has not done that well. At the list I handed to the board, there's 3 items that are open from prior meetings, one of which is, and many people in the audience may not know this, but $25 million is the size of the increase in the school's budget over the last 2 years. And so when I hear things like we don't have water at Frank Love, out in the portables, and the budget increased substantially, it begs us to improve upon our budgeting process. And I was at your board retreat. I was at your board retreat today too, and I know that you are working as well as you can as the board, and I appreciate that. And I know that you have been engaged in conversations. And so people are disappointed, and they have cause to be disappointed. I know you're trying to do work as the board, and I appreciate that. In terms of the detailed items for tonight's meeting, in terms of the bond numbers in item number 19, resolution 720, the agenda summary at the beginning of the agenda says that the first issue is for $80 million, yet when you read the resolution, it says it was for $76,030,000, so there's $4 million of difference. I don't know where that is. I just saw that as I was reviewing for today, so maybe the finance people can answer that. The second point that I just noticed today as I reviewed is that it says that the bonds are not tax exempt, and that surprised me. I thought as a governmental entity, you would have tax exempt bonds, you would have to pay less interest. And so I think that's a question that you should ask and find out why, if your bonds are not tax exempt, then why not? Third, I heard a disturbing comment, I won't say when, where, or how, but I think it would be useful for you to ask and have on the record how much you're paying the bond counsel and the bond advisor. I think that's a matter of public record. I'll do public records requests as I had to do in the past sometimes. But I think if you could ask that question, then it would be worthwhile to know. Second item, in terms of the capital projects fund, a question was asked last meeting by Director Hayes. How much do you have in the capital projects fund? I didn't see it in the board packet, so I went and pulled that, and that's on your back page. It looks like the average available money in your capital projects fund in the third column is almost $50 million. And the average interest rate is around 4.58%. If this is true, and this is just money that you've kind of been sitting on instead of using something like a line of credit, it's possible that the district could have had about $22 million of money that could spend on interest just to have that money sitting in the capital projects fund in order to be able to have some flexibility. You always need some flexibility, but that might be more than what you have needed, and so that's something to look into. Thank you for taking public comment. I know it's a challenge, and I know that each of the 5 of you take your job very seriously. I appreciate that. Good luck the rest of the meeting.
Terry Jones?
Hello board, my name is Terry James. I'm a homeowner here in the Woodinville community. I've raised my family here for the past 10 years. I have 2 children who go to Woodin Elementary School. One is a 6th grader, one is a 3rd grader. I was deeply saddened as I got to learn a little more about the events that's been happening to the students. It saddens me because I feel as a father I have to do a better job of protecting my children. You know, we send our kids to school and we give them over to the teachers and the district to protect them. But when you hear students continually say that they're being bullied and there's no action being taken, that death threats occur and no action's being taken, that their lives to them don't matter. You know, it encourages me when I see and I look around the room and I see all these faces of different parents with families that go to school here, always supporting their other members, but at the same time, it also hurts me when I hear the board not taking any action. It makes me question whether I should continue to bring my children to school here because I fear for their safety. when I hear the students say constantly they get the N-word called on them every day. And you can empathize with your friends, you can empathize with them. But until you've experienced it directly, you don't know what that's like. You don't know how dehumanizing that is. You don't know what that does to a child's soul. You know, letting the other student back in and seeing someone who said, I'm going to hang you, like you were part of the KKK, that you're 8 men. The effect that has on that person and that child can never be changed. I've had those things called. I've been pulled over by the police. I've had the N-word called on me countless times. As a father, you want to do better for your children. So you try to put them in a better community, you try to put them in a better area where you think the administration, the people in charge, are going to do better for them. Not today. Hopefully you guys are hearing the voices of not only the people that are sitting here in this crowd, but also the voices of the students, which are more important. Yes, all lives matter, they do. But the black students that are in these communities that are experiencing it, they have a different story. They have a different experience. They have a different reality than many other kids. And it's important for the improvement of all the students, their educational environment, to have their students' voices held and heard. And so they matter to the board to make changes, to make a difference. There should not even be a question of whether or not there should be a zero-tolerance policy when you're talking about protecting the lives of not only those students, but every student around them. Because these boys here who are their friends could be caught in the crossfire. We've seen it happen across the country. What is it going to take for us to learn about that? This meeting could have been very different today because you let the student come back into school. And what if he had gone through on his actions? What if he had followed through? We'd be here mourning the loss of these beautiful souls and these beautiful lives. I can't let that happen to my children. I can't. You guys have got to do better. You've got to do more. Thank you.
Nancy Miller?
Good evening, Board. My name is Tansy Miller. I'm a homeowner. I'm a taxpayer at the North Shore School District. This is my daughter. She's in the 7th grade at North Shore Junior High. And although it does pain me to hear the things that are happening at Timbercrest High School or Junior High School, I want you to know that similar events are happening at other schools in this particular district. At North Shore Junior High School, my daughter was in school sitting, one incident, she was sitting in school in the lunchroom. A boy she did not know, who was considerably bigger than her, ran by, grabbed the back of her hair, and snatched her up and out of the cafeteria table where she dropped down, banging her hair, and he ran off. She gave chase. The little boy gives her back her ribbon. The parent teacher and or teacher told the boy to go to the office and turn himself in for detention. Well, the boy never did. I found out about it several days later when I was doing her hair, and there was a quarter-sized plug taken out of her hair. I emailed this, I documented this to the administration at the school. We could never figure out who the boy was because he didn't turn himself in. We could never figure out who the administrator or the teacher was because they didn't say anything about it. But I have a child who had to change her hairstyle because she didn't want to be ripped up out of a chair and tumbled down across. Assaults, bullying, threats of death should not be happening. There is zero tolerance. There should be zero tolerance. Children who do these things, we pray for them. We pray for their families. We want them to get counseling. We want them to be mentored to be better people. I do not want these children to be just expelled from their particular junior high, elementary, or high school. They should be expelled from all North Shore schools because I don't want the kid from Timbercrest to wind up at my daughter's school next year. Girls wear their hair in different styles. Girls with curly hair wear their hairs in different styles. There are Muslim girls who wear hijabs. boys when they want to run by, rip their hair down, take their hijabs off? Do we tease, do we bully, do we threaten? And are they allowed to come back into school? No child is safe unless all children are safe. If we do not honor diversity, differences in hair, culture, the norm, then we are dishonoring the children. We intentionally chose to move to North Shore School District when we moved here out of state 6 months ago. I hope that was not a bad decision. My husband is a high-level corporate executive in a Fortune 100 company in this city. Do I now tell his peers when they're asking, where should we look? Should I tell them to look in Bellevue? Should I tell them to look at Redmond? Should I tell them to look, as I am now looking at the private school option? I invested in this community. I purchased a home. I am a taxpayer. But has my money been wasted if my child is not safe on a daily basis? You must act. You must pay attention. All of you should. Your child to be safe, I want nothing but my child to be safe. You want your children to go to school and get a good education, I want my child to go to school to get a good education. I want nothing that your child does not want. You want nothing that my child does not want. Please demonstrate that by action. Thank you.
Sandy Coddington?
All the way in the back.
Okay, my name is Sandy Coddington, and I had planned to talk to you about something that I read, but I'm just feeling compelled to share something else. My heart hurts as I listen to all these stories of pain that are being shared tonight. And I'm so sorry for the families who are hurting so desperately. My prayer for you as a school board is that your hearts are grieved by these stories as if they were stories of your own children. I hope that you own these stories and imagine your child in these positions, because this is not acceptable at all. I think this is a historic moment for the North Shore School District. You have the opportunity to truly embrace this thing that you're hearing over and over. No child is safe until every child is safe. I hope that I'm able to watch you make some good decisions that empower children and that show children are valuable. That's all I have to say.
Ken Mason.
Hello, my name is Ken Mason. I had some comments here that I wrote down, and I can't say goodbye now, so forgive me. I'll just say that I've been here since 2008, moved to the state of Washington from Detroit, Michigan. And since that time, I've done nothing but stand on the pedestal and talk about what a wonderful community we have here. That you can come to Washington and it's a colorblind place to live. There's just no, that's what I've experienced. But just recently, I think that I've been tricked. I think that I've been bamboozled based on what has happened thus far. I'm really feeling sick to my stomach right now. What I came expecting tonight is not what happened. I expected that there would be communication about a safety plan for all of the parents and then everybody that was interested. I found nothing. I thought that the agenda would have items about what's been going on, yet I find just mostly comments, and to find that very little to nothing has been going on thus far. I think it's imperative that everyone up here do something, and it needs to happen now. If I was in your seat, as soon as this meeting is over, I would find a boardroom and I would close the door and I would not come out until there was a solution that made the parents feel safe. And then I would come out. The urgency of this, it can't wait until tomorrow or next week until another memorandum comes out. You need to do something now. I don't feel safe. My child attends Bear Creek Elementary School, but he goes to Timbercrest on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for band. Well, he used to go to Timbercrest for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on band. After tonight, I don't feel comfortable doing that anymore. Why does it take bloodshed for us to act? Let's not wait until there's bloodshed for us to do something. You guys have an opportunity to do something before there is bloodshed. You hear the voices of the people. Don't pass it off to somebody else. It's not the police department's problem. It's not the advocate's problem. It's your problem. And that's what we're trying to say. We want you to do something.
That's good.
That's all I have. Thank you. No child is safe unless, I'm changing that. No child is safe unless he poses a threat to other children. After tonight, I feel that's the child is safe.
Andrea Rowland.
I'm Andrea Rowland. I'm Andrea Rowland, and I have 2 girls that go to Cookney Elementary School. And the topic that I came to talk to you about tonight seems very insignificant after I have heard all of these things that I'm listening to this evening. What I first want to say is that I appreciate the school board accepting public comment. And I think that you are at a huge crossroads on this racial issue that is in front of you. I only have elementary school kids right now, and I've had no idea about all these things that have been going on. And I would hate to think that if you do not act quickly, severely, and with a no-tolerance policy for these racial issues, as many people have referred to, that a future meeting of this school board with people from the public will be asking you why you did not prevent a tragedy instead of acting before it happens. What happens if someone is hurt, killed, a group of students die, and instead of putting this district on the map in an academic or fantastic way, we get put on the map, this district, as another site of a horrible tragedy that could have been prevented. We do not want to be added to a list of schools where there was a shooting and the nation mourns for us, and people have died and suffered and been hurt, when right now, at this moment, standing here, you have the greatest opportunity to act. Mistakes are made. My mother and father told me my whole life, you will make lots and lots of mistakes, but it's how you act when those mistakes are made. What do you do after you have a mistake? And so far as I can tell, there's not been a mistake that is so tragic as to losing a life yet, and I apologize if I am not correct on that, but as far as I can tell, you could do something right now and not have this meeting occur where people are asking you, why couldn't you save my child's life? And why didn't you do something? The only thing I will say is that the issue I came to talk to you about has to do with boundary districting and where children will go to school, and I think it's extremely important. But from what I heard, I think all of you, I thank you for coming and making me aware of it. It is much more important than what I wanted to say. So I took my 3 minutes to say what my heart was telling me to.
Jenny. Okay, I actually came with her. We have the same issues, so we were just chatting about it on the side. And I feel the same way. And the one thing that I do want to say is I've been in this community just about 2 years, and I'm part of that minority, part of the Hispanic family that lives here, and I am in shock pretty much right now with everything I've heard, because just like the gentleman before me said, I have been in awe at this community. I mean, we have loved this community. My kids have had great experiences here. And I feel like this is a little hamlet, like this is like a storybook. I mean, I've described it to people from where we came from another state. This is like a storybook community. It's so wonderful. And I can't even imagine that racism, I mean, I know it's everywhere and I know it does exist, but I just can't even imagine the things that I've heard today. And I just request that just do something, because it's so disheartening to feel like it's such a great community and it's such a disservice to so many, probably including you, so many wonderful people here that are tolerant and are not racist. And it's really disheartening to hear this and to think that all it takes is a couple of incidences, then this is the news or news travels, people share this information, and it completely taints our community. It makes it look like, next thing you know, it'll be like, oh, Woodinville, North Shore area, there are a bunch of racists. And I don't believe that that's true. I really don't. I really feel from everything, from every interaction, people are so friendly. It's such a wonderful place to live. And I just feel like, don't ruin it. I mean, help to avoid issues from happening. Aside from everything that she said, which is so important, I just don't want to repeat what she says, but it is very important. But it's like, for whatever reasons you do it for, but do something to keep this community intact. Because it's a shame. It's a shame that a few people that could be racist could ruin it for everybody else. And it's really unacceptable for those few people to treat the children that way. And it's something that sometimes it could even be, and I'll tell you the one thing that I did hear my son one time did tell me, that one child had made a comment, a racist comment. It wasn't even, I would say it was more insensitive as much as more than racist. But sometimes kids just goof around and they're playing, and maybe their parents, again, every family is different, but it's up to the schools to maybe kind of equalize that and maybe share that message that maybe the parents aren't always saying at home, and just to teach tolerance and to teach sensitivity and how to treat each other. So I think that these are things that could be educated in the schools, even from grade school. Again, we have never had any bad issues. I haven't even heard of any bad issues from my kids. So that's why I'm in shock, but I'm very disheartened, and I just hope that that's addressed. And as far as the boundary issue, I'm just going to go ahead and share with you some documentation that I have, and you can read it. And it has the questions stated on the document.
So that does conclude the public comment portion of the meeting. I just want to say I heard our children described as our hearts running around outside of our bodies. And that just feels like such an appropriate description of our young people. So I just want to thank you again for coming to talk to us tonight and for sharing your comments. Deeply personal experiences, obviously, and we are grateful to you for having the courage to come and talk to us and share them with us. We are taking your comments and your concerns to heart. We will read what you left with us, and we are listening and hearing. And on behalf of the board, we just want to reaffirm that we have a commitment to moving forward and engaging with you, and this is really important work. We want to keep you informed and gather your input as we develop policy, as we determine how to move forward from here. So we, again, just really appreciate you coming tonight to talk to us. And I'm just going to say that it is never satisfying for people who come and comment or for the board, because you are you occupy a space in our meeting that is public comment, and it's our business meeting, so we will carry on our business as we normally do. That's why we have meetings, and that's why we're here. But as I said, we will keep you informed and make sure that you all know of opportunities to engage in the future.
Can you tell, I thought her name was on the list, but
Oh.
I'm sorry, maybe it wasn't. Lisa Hall?
I didn't see it, but
Okay.
but you are, if you thought you signed and you would like to come on, absolutely.
Sorry, I just wanted to, number one, I just want to find out a little more about what your timeline is, because that's number one. But my daughter is at Timbercrest Elementary. I had my daughter graduate from Woodinville High School, and she's doing very well in college. I think a lot of this is ignorance and bias. I think that's the basis of a lot of this. You have students, I don't know where they're coming from, to make comments like this and to make threats like this against African American students or any students of any race. But it starts somewhere, and it's ignorance and it's bias. I will also say it's happening in the school districts. It's happening at the schools. Sometimes it's microaggressions. Sometimes, it's just ignorance. I've had one daughter who had a teacher in elementary school have a project where your ancestors came from. We don't know where our ancestors came from. We had European American students who could say, their ancestors came from Germany and all these other places. My daughter could say, well, my ancestors may have come from this place in Africa. Teachers have to understand that. I have my youngest daughter came home, she was probably in second grade, but she's very smart. The star of the week, who knows the star of the week? Wonderful little project, wonderful little thing, you get to put your baby picture up so everyone can guess who it is. And she said, well, of course they're going to know who I am. As she was saying that, I'm emailing the teacher. Hey, is there something we can do to resolve this? Can we do this a little bit differently? No response. Emailed her again, no response. Finally, I called her. And she said, oh yeah, I got it. But I didn't really see an issue. We have Asian kids, we have redhead kids. I didn't really see an issue. Now, number one is disrespectful, to not call me back. Number two, yes, it is an issue. I'm telling you as a parent, it's an issue. I have a brown child, only brown child in the school, one of very few brown children in the North Shore School District. Now, she changed it. She didn't tell me she did. My daughter came home to tell me they put all the clues up, and then after the kids guessed who it was, then they put the picture up. I'm going to venture to say that that teacher went back to her old ways after my daughter left her class the following year. I'm just going to guess that. It's ignorance, and I think the education needs to start from the top, from the superintendent to the administrators to the teachers. If you don't have the viewpoints and the experiences of every person that is in that school, if you don't understand it and you don't embrace it. It's not just diversity, it's inclusion. Diversity, you can say you have diversity. We have a lot of diversity in this room. But are you supporting that diversity? Do you have the resources in place to support it and make sure that every student feels safe? Now, I've met some of you here today. I'm going to say that we want transparency. We want to know a timeline when this is going to be taken care of. I know it's uncomfortable. If it's too uncomfortable, I think it's time to make room for someone else. Which it seems to have been at Timbercrest Junior High, telling parents that this was blown out of proportion, that this has been exaggerated. No, it wasn't. I saw the screenshots. It was not blown out of proportion. If it's uncomfortable for the administrators to handle this, they need to make room for somebody else who can handle it. If it's uncomfortable for the teachers to talk about things in their class, to make sure it's a safe space, and to take care of these students, they need to make room for somebody else, and you all need to make sure that happens. What we want now is we want transparency. We appreciate that you all are going to discuss it, that you're going to be in touch. I'd like to know when and how it's going to happen, at least a first step, because we want to be a part of the process.
My name is Tony Esparza, and for some reason God in His great goodness gifted me to be a mom of 7 children. And I'm not sure why, but He also gifted me to be the mother of 7 children of all different races. And that's a gift I don't feel like I live up to most days. But I get to be a mother of a Puerto Rican child, a Saudi Arabian child, Mexican children, and African American children. And I feel so very blessed. I'm so very humbled by that. So my heart has been hurting, and I have been weeping with you as I've heard your stories tonight, and not even sure how to know that you are here tonight with the very humble voices that you have had, because I'm not sure my voice would be yours tonight if I was you as a mom. I agree with every single solution you have suggested, so nothing I am about to say means I don't agree with your solutions. It means I have another one that I would like to put in front of you today. The solutions that I have heard suggested are solutions for when the train has already left the station. And when a train has left the station and it is wrecked, which is what I hear tonight, you have to resolve it. These are all reactive solutions of what you do when lives are in danger. But somehow there needs to be a solution to prevent the train wreck. And some of the solution that I would like to put in front of you is that you research the trauma-informed school movement. So there's a lot of reasons that racism happens, and I am by no means an expert on that, and I'm not going to pretend that I am. And the one of them is sometimes when children have experienced trauma. It can also be to ignorance and bias, absolutely, and again, I'm not an expert. But there's a lot of research nationally on trauma-informed school movements, and a lot of the things that have been suggested tonight are for reactions at the junior high and high school level, but you have children in elementary schools, and this can happen at the elementary school level too, or children can start hurting children at the elementary school level, and that trauma becomes so escalated at the high school level that lives can be in danger. So if you would look at the national research that is going on how to help children that prevents them from continuing to hurt each other or hurt themselves, I think you would find some things that would be great in your schools. Thank you.